Mark, good to see you again. We're
Corey,
back
it's
at
good to
it
see
for
you.
another
Yeah.
another conversation about branding and direct-to-consumer business. How you doing today?
I am doing great. And how are you? I'm excited about what we're going to talk about today because I think it's really fascinating.
I'm doing good. I'm excited as well. So I guess the question I'm going to pose to you, I have my own opinions, but do you think you can build a meaningful brand from dropshipping? Finding a product on Alibaba or a site like CJ Dropshipping, can you take a product from there and build a meaningful company out of it? I have a couple examples, floppyfishy.com or Top Tactical Gear. Could come up with another one. I think people see these all the time. It's popular on YouTube and Facebook videos of these drop shippers. They'll sell you on the dream of it, but there could be some meaningful sales that go along with it. And you being the brand guy, I'm curious, do you think you can take a product that anyone can go get from Alibaba and create a meaningful company out of it?
Yeah. And as I get into the answer, I want to let everyone know watching, like we're doing this without a net. I haven't looked into this. I don't know where we're going. So I'm going to make a prediction and I'm going to say, without kind of knowing too much about it, I'm going to say yes. And the reason I'm going to say yes, and then we can get into it, is that a mentor of mine, someone that I study from, kind of the godfather of branding. His name is Marty Newmeyer, and he likes to say that mattering is the new marketing, that meaning is the new marketing, and creating meaning is what it's all about. And so I think if you can create meaning, if you can be relevant, if you can matter with that product, then yes, I think you can. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of caveats in that, if you're just drop shipping and trying to make a transactional relationship and trying to convert as many customers as possible without meaning, without mattering, I think you might have trouble. But at least that's my initial thesis as we start this today. So I'm going to say yes.
So I'm going to share my screen real quick, and let's take a look at Floppy Fishy.
Yeah, I like this brand.
Let's see. Is my screen coming through to you? Oh, there we go.
Not quite yet. There we go.
Okay. So you see the homepage here where the dog is thrashing this fish?
I do.
All right. So I think their homepage is interesting. I think they sell what the product is. They got good imagery here. The way I came across Floppy Fishy was through a TikTok ad. And I've continued to see multiple TikTok ads for Floppy Fishy. And caught my eye. I was like, all right, well, let's see how this business is doing. So I went and investigated them and I took a look. And last time I looked, they were doing about $2,500 a day in revenue. When I take a look now, their average order value their average daily orders has dropped from like 60 down to about 40. So this was when I took a look in July. So I just took a look today in September. Their average orders are dropping, but it's not zero. When I do the calculations, it looks like this business could be doing somewhere around $500,000 a year. So I was curious where they got the product from. So I went to Alibaba and took a look. Sure enough, here's the exact product. You can find it on Alibaba, have it shipped to you. It look like you can get it anywhere. I mean, you order over 5,000 pieces, you get it for 89 cents. You can still get it for $2. You can have it drop shipped. So I think you're going to pay around $15 all in to get it to a consumer in the United States. And if you go take a look at how much they're selling it for, all the products are selling for $29.99. So they got about a 50% margin in there. They're getting 40 to 60 orders a day. And the way I came across it were these TikTok ads, and they're so simple to create. I'm just going to play one right now. Hopefully it works. So, oops, sorry. A very simple video on user generated. You can create that with your iPhone, and they got. I mean, $500,000 in yearly revenue is meaningful. It's not cash out. I'm going to be retired. You're not becoming the next Amazon. You're not becoming the next big company. But there's something there. So from what I just showed you, seeing their product, seeing the brand, what are your first thoughts?
Yeah, well, and I'm new to I have a dog, but I don't have this product. And And I love it, you know, and I think that what do we all want as dog owners, right? We want happy dogs. We want to give our dogs something, you know, to make them happy in their lives because they make us happy. And so this product does it. Now it's really interesting. You know, my first exposure to Floppy Fishy was you and you showing me this. And I imagine if I was their customer, my first exposure would be maybe on TikTok, and I would come in and I really like the way they've laid this out. It's clean, it's simple, but to your point, as you were talking, I went and you know, Googled interactive fish dog toy, and there's a page of them, and Floppy Fishy isn't even coming up on the first page, right? Like, you know, and so maybe it does as you start to get down for an ad, but I mean, there's all sorts of stuff. And I think you and I talked about this. I don't think it's exclusive to drop shipping. I think it's exclusive. I think this is one of the issues with e-com, right? Like, it's the type of product that anyone can knock you off. You're going to start getting into a price battle. And if you're not able to connect this product to meaning, also, I mean, I think one of the challenges is I look at their site is they don't have other products. So, you know, their average cart order is going to be small. There's no way to upsell. There's no way to build customer loyalty thereafter. It's just a real transactional product. So to your point, and I think that this is a lesson to drop shippers, to people in e-com, I think you can come out with a product and find something in Alibaba and make some quick wins, get, you know, get some hits. But, you know, it's not a matter of if, but when that's going to tail off, when consumers are going to get tired, when your competition is going to knock you off. And the only thing that you can really protect is what you mean to your customers beyond your products.
So how would you do that? Like, would you be creating content about dog toys, creating content about pet ownership? Like, to me, my first thought goes, all right, email lists, provide content, and provide some sort of meaning beyond the product.
Yep.
And we are Floppy Fishy is the name of the product, but whatever your brand name may be, and you want our content because we're going to keep you up to date on the ways to entertain your dog, or healthy activities, or stimulating pet toys, stuff like that. What way would you go about creating a brand around a product like this?
Yeah, and I think before we talk about the how, I think we should talk about the why, right? And like, so why would you do that? Well, the whole idea is you want to keep people in your universe and your orbit so you can sell them more stuff, right? But Floppy Fishy doesn't have anything else to sell. So maybe, you know, I don't know what the lifespan of this toy is, but say your dog gets through it and you buy another one. Maybe you want to buy a 3-pack. I don't know. But it seems very limited in terms of like new new product. And my challenge to Floppy Fishy, and maybe they've done this because we don't really know the brand, would be, well, what really is your purpose in business beyond turning a profit? So we know you have, you know, this dog toy. Is it to make happy dogs, for instance, right? We could go through a branding process, and we want to brighten the lives of pets so that we can brighten people's lives or something like that, right? Well, then that becomes a lens for other products to source. That also becomes a lens and a matrix and a theme of the content that you would create, because how are we going to, what else do our core customers care about besides Floppy Fish? Probably dogs, right? So like, what are all the great things? They probably care about dog diet. They probably care about, you know, how to meet other dog owners. They probably care about, you know, how to, you know, make your dog happy from a whole variety of different viewpoints. That would be the kind of content I would be creating. And then they probably want like cute, funny dog stuff, right? But you can't just do all cute, funny dog stuff, right? I mean, I think, you know, showing, you know, the funniest things that they probably get from their product of user generated content, UGC, of, you know, people using the product too, right? And so I think you would want to layer all those types of things and create a content calendar that's really about total dog ownership. And I don't really know yet. I mean, is their viewpoint on dog ownership that it should be silly, that it should be funny, that dogs are the kookiest thing, you know, kookiest companions? There's ways that we could even dial that a little more, but that's where I think they should be going if they want to continue to grow the business.
So I think this actually might be an interesting point to stop and then take a look at Top Tactical Gear, because I think they've gone that extra little bit to add additional products and do a little bit more branding. but it's still, they started with a core product that you can go find on Alibaba. So I'll share my screen again and give a quick little rundown here on Top Tactical Gear. This is a business I found on Flippa, one of the websites that you can buy and sell e-commerce. It is an undisclosed one, but in the listing they said they're Top Tactical Gear, so not really a good job of hiding who they are when they put the listing up. But through my research, these gloves, these tactical gloves, are their #1 product, and you can find these gloves, similar type gloves, on Alibaba here. 2 to 99 pairs for $4.50. You can see that there's more other options, but you can find tactical gloves that look very similar to the tactical gloves that Top Tactical Gear is selling here. And I went through their listing. I think they said that this is their #1 product. They sell like 90% of this, but they have a lot of other products now. They got bags, they got belts, they got helmets, they got chest rigs. There's even, I know they have other apparel, hats, stuff like that. And this business has been growing. As I said, it is for sale. I think they want $400,000 for it. But from my tracking of it, on average, they're probably their order value is about $43 to $45. When I took a look back at them in August, they were doing about 40 orders per day. They have now jumped that up to 60 orders per day in September. So about $2,500 per day. I mean, if you do a yearly run rate on that, you're looking at just shy of $1 million. So this is another product where the launch point looked like something you can grab from Alibaba, and then you can start building a whole brand. I mean, I like their imaging around here. It doesn't just take the photos that the stock photos that you could get from Alibaba. They take the product and make something a little bit different with it and create a little bit more content with it. So I think that was a little bit what you're talking about, where they now have these additional products that they can sell.
Yeah, totally. And I think that, and as we get into this, it's just about building a brand. I mean, you look at so many products. I mean, I think that I don't want Alibaba to be the trigger or the thing that people think, oh, it's just Alibaba. I mean, most products are contract manufacturing these days, right? So very few people actually create their own products. You know, I come from an outdoor standpoint. All the skis, all the kites for kiteboarding, all the snowboards, they're all made in a handful of factories. They're not, right? And everyone doesn't own their own manufacturing, as an example. And so I think that, you know, the difference with Alibaba is you're probably buying something that's ready made. You're not giving a lot of specs to it and giving it your own product slant, but it's just all branding and all point of view. What I do like about Top Tactical Gear, you know, they go a little further. They have an About Us page. On that About Us page, it's like, hello, soldiers, right? Even if you're not a soldier, I'm not a soldier, but I might be interested in Top Tactical Gear if I'm looking for hardcore gloves for the outdoors or something like that. They talk about their mission. There's some things that I would probably change, but we're not going to like nitpick on these guys right now, because they're at least out there trying to show us that they are all about, and here's they have a mission, right? We're here to help you prepare for some of life's unpredictable challenges and opportunities in whatever form they may present themselves. Okay. So they got a little bit of a lens and what they're trying to do. And so, and they're very niche marketed, right? Like, I know who they're for. And so I think that's one step. Like Floppyfishy, I'm not sure what type of dog owner, for example, what type of, you know, it's just kind of a generalist. Hey, if you want your dog to be like moving its head around and having a good time, buy our product. Where this, like, I think we just go 1 or 2 layers deeper on our target customer and who we're looking for. And that's core to building your brand, because then that starts to help you figure out who you're for and who you're not for. So we see this all the time, right? Like, I'm trying to think about a product really quickly, but we see it in running shoes or in shoes in general, you know, like these are for hardcore runners, these are for trail runners, these are for hikers, these are for walkers. Like, people like to segment because they want to know who they're for. And before, you know, and then just my last thought on this is, like, every great brand that I can think of always has started off with one key product. You know, Nike started off with a very simple running shoe, one shoe. That's how they started, and they built that brand, right? Apple, when I think back about, you know, yeah, they had the computer, but it was really the iPod and leaning into the original iPod that rebuilt that business, you know, into what it is before they started doing a whole bunch of different things. You know, the best businesses start with a core product and then find an identity and spread out. So I think you can do that through Alibaba. And, you know, one last example I'll give is, yeah, anyone can knock you off, you know. I'm a hobbyist and I guess semi-pro because I get paid sometimes, photographer. I like photography. And one of the brands I really like is a brand called Peak Design. You know, and Peak Design has been out there and they design all their own stuff. They got these kind of cool urban looking bags, and one of their flagship products is something called a everyday sling. Well, you know, Amazon a couple months ago, I think it's like 120, 150 bucks for that sling bag. Amazon came out, you know, with their own literally carbon copy bag called the Everyday Basic Sling for 30 bucks. Right? Total, I mean, it looks exactly the same, carries your camera the same. And so the only thing that Peak Design can do is really continue to innovate, continue to add meaning to their product so that when you buy it, it has a premium feel. There's a reason for you to spend an extra 120 bucks for their bag. And we're seeing that everywhere. That's just one example, but we're living in that world. So to come back to the original thesis, yeah, I think it's possible to build a brand, but you're going to have to turn it. If you're not adding additional specs to the actual manufacturing, you're going to have to add perceived specs in your branding to make it.
Otherwise it's a race to the bottom on the price point, and
Yeah.
you're not gonna be able to compete on what Amazon's gonna do. They're gonna come out and they're gonna get it cheaper and they're gonna sell it for cheaper, and they'll sell it at a loss to get rid of you too. They did that with I think the diaper company, I forget the name of it, but I think they started selling at a loss just to hurt that other business.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, you know, if you start, you know, getting in that race to the bottom, that's the race that nobody wants to win, right? That's not a good race to win. You're going nowhere fast.
So I guess a little bit on the how here. If you were to take a product from Alibaba or I mean contract manufacturing, I know I'm hyper focused on Alibaba, but it's easy to represent. How would you go about creating that perceived value that's a little bit different, that anyone can sell this product, but yet yours has a little bit of a better feeling to it than someone else's?
Yeah, for me, it would all begin in the selection process. And prior to doing that, I'd really be thinking from a brand perspective, like what is my brand essence or DNA, right? Maybe not around a specific product, but like, what do I really care about? You know, do I care about the environment? Do I care about tactical supplies? Do I care about dogs? Then, what kind of value do I want to bring to people beyond just turning a profit? Like what's my purpose? I'd really get, what are my core values? What do I believe in? And then who are some of the customers that I want to serve? Right? Like who are the people that like I really want to make their lives better? I would use that criteria and lens for selecting my product on Alibaba. And the reason I would do that is because those are the brand building elements. They're going to start to be the underlying essence of your brand. And then you find a product, you're like, okay, it doesn't perfectly fit. So then we can nuance it, we can massage it, we can find out what we like, but at least that'll give you direction to pick a product that you care about. Because the one thing that everyone can sniff out, no matter who you are, is a transactional seller that doesn't care about you.
Do you think there needs to be a human face to build a big brand or a relatable brand? Like, do you think you need to put your personality into that brand? As you're saying, like, what do I care about? If this, like, top tactical gear, do I care about the military? Do I care about tactical gloves? Does there need to be that human element, that human that is behind the brand?
I don't think there needs to be a human face or a spokesperson. I mean, I think it can help. I think especially if you have, in our last video, we went through Black Rifle Coffee Company, and that CEO is very front and center. And he's like, this was my experience. And I think that could be one way to tell that story. But so you don't have to have someone front and center, but I do think you really need to have a story of why you're in business. I think you really need to tell a story of what you believe in and why you're doing this. And then lastly, I do think you need a human type personality for the brand for it to be successful. We need to feel what is that personality. And it's not always overt. We don't always get it right away, but we need to give personality attributes so it has a voice. So it sounds like something, whatever that is, that's true to the brand, Do
you think video, I think I asked this question before, but I'm going to come back onto it. but like video writing, voice, like what do you think the best way is to get that story out there? Me personally, I think I like the video aspect of it. I think seeing like when we looked at Black Rifle Coffee, the videos that they were creating, obviously we could see the personality that was in them. But I maybe I'm just I like video and I relate better to video. But if you were to start a brand, would you go video first? Would you go photos, or would you go copywriting?
Yeah, I think that, and I think we talked about this last time, but it really does depend where your audience is. For example, I don't think Black Rifle Coffee is really active on LinkedIn, right? And they get that, like it's just, I think they're there, but I don't think they're pushing a lot of content there. And so thinking about the channels, but yeah, video crushes, right? We're living in a video world. Apple just announced all their new phones the other day. What was the biggest enhancement? To video.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's all of it. Like, so you can see that, right? That's the trend. And like, how can you create like more pro quality, cinematic quality video? YouTube's not going anywhere. What's TikTok? Nothing but a bunch of videos. What's Reels, right? So we are living in a video culture. So if you have the means and the ability, and by the way, means doesn't mean financial, because everybody has one of these, and this is all you need, right? Oh, I got some notifications. That's all you need, right? And but by means, what I mean, like, do you have the aptitude to create video and publish it? Because it is a little bit unwieldy. It is its own beast. But the thing I love about video is it's sort of like, if you think of it in a pyramid format, I guess I'm kind of thinking about this now, but I guess it would be a reverse pyramid. So big video contains everything you need. It has the imagery, it has the audio, and that can then have, in terms of a content strategy, can have a really long life, because you can chop that audio into a podcast. You can take the transcript. Like right now we have an automated transcript going, and we can take that and look for sound bites of anything we said, and someone on your team or you can highlight it. That can become Twitter and Instagram posts and LinkedIn posts and all these things. And so, I think video crushes, and I think it's always great if you have that aptitude. I have a bit of a prediction that like the best brands, right, are really, this prediction isn't, I don't think, unique to myself, but the best brands, as we're seeing, are really becoming content studios. They're becoming publishers, like Black Rifle Coffee, right? Like Red Bull. They're following that model where they're creating so much content that, in quality content, that's becoming core to their business.
I don't have the quote in front of me right now, but just when you said that, I know Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank recently just said, he, like 10 years ago, the most valuable person to him would have been an engineer coming out of college. Like, you'd have a job forever. And he's now changed his opinion, is that the most valuable person to a company, right, is the person that can storytell and do it through photos or do it through video. He's like, those are the most important people coming into a company. And I think you see that with the growth of social media and how people are relating and reacting to these brands. It's no longer just about the product. Now, I think the product is important, but as you said, a lot of the products are very similar between companies. You're going to get the similar quality, similar benefits, similar features, but that storytelling, that reason that you got that that product it gives you some sort of feeling when you get it, in my opinion. So it was an interesting quote from Kevin O'Leary.
No, Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, like 100%. And I think that it's really good to contrast these two brands with like Black Rifle Coffee, because they're at an earlier stage. They're trying to build their business, right? We got to walk before we can run. We don't move right to massive content producer, but like the conversations on social, right? Like that's where your customers are. That's where the conversation is. That's where things are happening. And people, we might have talked about this last time, but people, we don't so much buy products. I mean, so this is the challenge, right? We have with e-com and Amazon versus building a real brand. When I need something, like I just got a Garmin watch for running, and I needed a replacement band, and I go to Amazon because I'm searching to buy for the cheap, that's my criteria. I want a cheap band that fits my watch. Look at a couple reviews. It comes in 2 days. I no longer have any relationship with that company. I don't know who sold it to me. We've got no relationship. I am not their customer in terms of like long term. I bought from them, I purchased from them, but I don't consider myself a customer.
They just met your need at that time.
Right. Now, and I'm just kind of like off the top of my head thinking about recent purchases. I'm getting into running. I'm training for a marathon, and I go to the running store and I need running shoes, and I buy Hoka shoes. Well, they tell me all about these Hoka shoes, how this and that, and how they're all cool. They're telling that story that Hoka probably sent down to the retailer. Then I go to Hoka's website, and now I am enrolling myself into the Hoka community. I am signing up for their newsletter. I'm being led to other pieces of content on social because now part of my identity is that I'm a Hoka person, right? So,
And you'll go back and buy something from them if you need the next item that you need, or the replacement item.
Oh, totally, absolutely. Like I'm now a part of their community, right? We used to say the word tribe, and trying to change that a little bit. But I've enrolled myself. I've become, I've chosen to be a part of their community. And I think that that's really the differentiator between these brands. Like when you see Floppyfishy and you're like, yeah, you can transact, you can quickly sell, you can, advertise to people and get quick hits. But if you're going to go to that next level, if you're going to go to the Black Rifle Coffee $100 million level, if you're going to go to the $10 million level, like you need to be about more than transaction. You really need to build a brand that people want to say, I'm a ... person.
My guess is that Floppyfishy will not exist as a company more than a year. I think it's a quick hit. Let's get some money. And you talked about video on the iPhone. Like they can make those videos real quick, real easy. Hey, here's a dog playing with it. It's a little bit of an impulse buy. When I'm on TikTok and I'm scrolling, I was like, oh, that looked like a cool toy for my dog. As like I'm in the checkout line at the grocery store, and it's like, oh, that I'll grab that piece of candy. I'm not thinking about. I didn't think about the pros and cons of it. I didn't go do research. It's like that looks like a cool thing. Let me buy that, and I'm done with that transaction. I think they could go much more in depth. They get my email and they provide me a lot more content, and they create a brand around that. But I don't think Floppyfish is doing that. I think Tactical Gear has done that a little bit more. And there's a few other brands that I've been starting to take a look at that are building beyond just the product, just selling you the product.
Yeah, and there's nothing like, I was about to say there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I have some, criticism about people just kind of bringing more kind of, trash into the world, and not that Floppyfish is trash, but just more things for no reason in exchange for cash. But look, if you have the energy, if that's your business model, if you're going to bring in, 4 Floppyfishies a year and you're going to build a nice little business around it, that's cool. But I think you just have to understand that, to your point, it's short-lived, it's transactional, and that's what's happening. And I think it's a great challenge, right? Like, hey, can you go to Alibaba and build a brand around something, or is it destined to be a bit more transactional since anyone can knock you off, right? I think that, however, like, with the example of Peak Design, like they have a whole community and they're coming to Peak Design to look for camera gear and ancillary product. There's a ton of camera companies out there, like, and there's a ton of camera bags out there, and it just matters like what audience you're capturing, right? And like, do you have the audience? Do you know who it's for? They're definitely speaking to like a younger, cooler, hipper audience that wants a more stylish camera bag. Nomadic came out with their own kind of camera line. They've partnered with a really kind of famous YouTube photographer, Peter McKinnon, and he's a little more adventure and kind of raw, and like you're a pirate, right? And you're and so things like that. And I think that those are ways that you can differentiate yourself, because while Nomadic designed their own bag, while Peak designed their own bag, and there's nothing, doesn't carry your camera any differently, right? It has a specific look and feel, but a lot of that is, they're using contract manufacturers in Asia as well most of the time.
And we've talked a little bit off recording about golf. I'm an avid golfer, and I feel like golfers are brand whores. And it's just like, growing up, I couldn't imagine another type of golf ball besides TaylorMade, Titleist, and Callaway. Like no one's ever going to play a different type of golf ball. And then now you have Snell Golf, and you have Vice golf balls. And then we talked about Bad Birdie. Bad Birdie's coming in with a different clothing line, and that differentiated. I never saw that coming. I thought that I was so tied into like the traditional way of I have to play Titleist. They did such a good job of building that moat around their brand that like they have all the pros. All the pros play Titleist, or they play TaylorMade, or they play Callaway. And if you want to be the best of the best, you have to play those balls. So it's interesting to see that these smaller brands are now able to break through some of those moats that they have and differentiate, because quite frankly, a golfer, anyone that's not Tiger Woods level, you're gonna not really see a difference between golf club or golf ball or anything of the likes. But they'll sell you on it. I mean, TaylorMade's whole gimmick for a while was the longest golf clubs in the longest golf clubs in the game. All they did was they made a 6-iron, the loft of a 5-iron, and just wrote 6-iron on it. So they had their own. TaylorMade's a great gimmick golf club, but the great marketing, and their product is not that much better or different than anyone else's, but they get people to dive deep into their brand and only buy their products. So I think golf is a real interesting branding case study.
Yeah, I mean, why do you think Nike, TaylorMade, all these companies spend hundreds of millions of dollars on brand ambassadors, right? Like I remember that time, it was at the Masters when Tiger sunk that putt and the Nike golf ball rolled.
The wedge, it was a wedge shot off of 16, I think. And
ever
and
so
it
slowly,
just
right?
sat on the lip.
Yeah, and that Nike logo like was like right, like as big as it could be on your screen, and then it dropped. And then, I mean, if I remember correctly, there's like some case studies in correlation that like their golf line just like that was the moment that their golf line went through the roof, right? And because everyone's like, oh my, like they all want to relive that moment. They want to be Tiger Woods. And yeah, and
That's the feeling you get when you get on the golf course and you got all the gear that Tiger Woods has on. You feel like him. It gives you that feeling. It's like, all right, I'm going to go shoot 64 today. You're not. You're going to shoot 94, but you feel you got a feeling.
Yeah, totally. And I'm familiar with Vice golf balls. I've actually bought some, and their whole like they were kind of funny, right? Because their whole model was just this like, like the Warby Parker model. You're paying too much for golf balls. We're going to deliver, Titleist quality golf balls via mail, and they're going to be just as good, right? Now, I think that positioning had worked for a while. I think now everyone else is coming out with different stuff, so it'll be interesting to see how long that lasts. But if they were first to market and they build a customer base, like I get emails from them all the time, they're like giving you like, kind of paint splatter golf balls. They're trying to do different things. It doesn't totally resonate with me. I mean, the brand that resonates with me that I think is just genius, and I'm like, why did I not think of that? Is Bad Birdie.
Yeah.
Right? Because for years I've been walking into the golf shop being like, these shirts are all baggy. They're like this. I look like a banker.
Well,
like,
do you remember seeing Tiger Woods in the late 90s? Like the clothes were swimming on him. Like it was zero style that he had. He's gotten better with some time now, but even still, I would say he hasn't had great style. But you're right. Like the style, just look through the history of pro golf. The style's not there. It's starting to come a little bit.
Yeah, it was so preppy and just one way. And like Bad Birdie comes out and is like in your face rock and roll golf for young dudes. Like genius, right? Like it's just genius. And like I go to their site and I'm like, yeah, I want it. Like, and I love their email that about when they're like, look, you might be posing for album covers on the 18th hole, and you might be like screaming for like it's just cool, right? And I'm like, that's just an opportunity that I couldn't have seen. And like a lot of times, the way we find those opportunities in brand is with a real simple 2x2 chart that looks something like this, right? And so what we could do is we could do like on one axis, right? You could be like fashion. And let's just say for Bad Birdie, it's like age target, right? And so, is it high fashion in young age or whatever, right? And then we can start to like map this out. So you're like, okay, Peter Millar, right? They're like kind of for old dudes, right? And then Bad Birdie's young but highly fashionable, right? And so, and then you can start to find like white space, right? You can start to map.
Where's the gap?
Where's the gap? And so like when I think about like Bad Birdie, I'm like, all right, like, I mean, how many people every day are have their version of walking into the golf shop and saying, I wish there was something more stylish.
I'm surprised. I've thought about this for a while. I have no skill set to actually execute on it. But the golf shoe itself, I'm surprised there's not more brands and more styles that come with it. Like the sneakerheads that go with like the Michael Jordan shoes, and I'm not a sneakerhead, so I don't know them also, excuse me. But like I know that culture, and people are fascinated by those shoes. So why is there not more of that shoe becoming like the style of the shoe? I mean, everyone's wearing a FootJoy or wearing a Nike, but it's a Nike running shoe or it's a Nike golf shoe. It doesn't have that same cachet as those sneakerheads like. I feel like you could take some of that sneakerhead culture and bring it to the golf shoe world.
100%. I just saw, and you probably know the brand. I got it, I think on Instagram or something. But there's a golf shoe out now. It's not cool looking, but it like, all right, maybe I saw it on TV, but it's designed to like help you align your stance or something.
Interesting.
And
I don't know it.
and I was like, genius, right? You've taken something that every golfer buys, and like you're telling them if they wear this shoe, it's going to help align their stance better, and they're gonna right like do I like and it, but they kind of look like
you could sell any snake oil to a golfer if you tell them it's going to make them better.
Yeah.
That's the desperate plea. This will make you shoot better, and you can sell them anything. They'll buy it.
Yeah. But I love the bad birdie shoes, right? Like, or like just shoes for cool. Like, how cool would it be if you had like cool sneakers or high tops that were golf shoes?
I know. I think Ricky wore some high tops once, and I mean the traditional old school golf crowd was like, "Oh, Ricky wearing high tops," and you have he was wearing the joggers too, that you don't typically see, and like you get lambasted by the traditionalists, but it brings that younger crowd into it. That I think Ricky's done a great job of bringing a younger crowd to the game, and bringing a little more style to the game. But not everyone has followed suit with that yet.
Yeah, well, I had a really interesting conversation with a friend of mine who runs a brand at a really big outdoor apparel company. And he said, look, like if we continue to market and innovate for our core, we're going to go out of business because that core is old. That core is moving on. That core is someday won't be here, right? Like you really need to think about like, where are things going? And that's not about being trendy, but you know, that whole next generation of consumers is just thinking differently. They want to see a different kind of golf. And like, I mean, we see all these trends, right? Like the whole world has just become more individualized, more personalized, more casual, like more wear what you want to wear to work, wear, you know what I mean? Like we're not wearing like 1920 suits and bowler hats and things like that out to dinner when we dress up, right? Like we're like everyone has a different sense of fashion. So like I just think that that's such a huge opportunity, and maybe we'll go start that company after this video.
Yeah. Well, we definitely went down to a different line. We got into the golf, which really excited us. Anything back on the original topic or question, Alibaba branding? I think we covered it pretty good. I'm not sure I have anything too much, but any other areas you want to touch on real quick?
I just think to sum it up, like when I think about business, when I think about, you know, solving customer needs, delivering customer value, there's no shortcuts, right? Like there's no easy way to do it. You can either spend the money on R&D and innovate and come up with, you know, original products and services, or you can repackage and find a brand and a meaning, but you really have to invest in that as well in order to grow your business. And it's just like, you can only do the quick win for so long, right? Like, you can only turn straw into gold for a short amount of time. You can go to Alibaba, drop ship something, you can sell it, but it's going to be short-lived. And so there's no easy way to do this. You're going to have to invest. You either have to innovate on the product side, or you're going to have to, innovate on the brand side and develop a strong brand. So that'd be my takeaway.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. All right. Well, Mark, thank you for the conversation. Let's do it again. Let's pick another brand, another angle, and see what we can come up with.
Who are we going after next? I can't wait. This is going to be good.
I don't know. I'll send you a message afterwards.
Sweet. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Mark.